Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Cashflow Digital. Hello to Mr. Paul Hogden, who's been patiently waiting. So apologies for the delay. I am waiting on Mike Pierce, who seems to be having some computer issues trying to get on, but we will get him in just a second. But anyone else out there, let us know who you are, where you're from, and if you've got any questions. We're here today to answer any questions you've got on SEO, digital marketing in general, whatever you want. And this show is sponsored by ODYS. And if you're interested in Age Domains, done for you affiliate websites, or even taking a sneak preview at the domains that they've got coming into the system before anyone else, then you can sign up using the link below and find out more about that. You always want to try and get a leg up on the opposition, and this is the perfect opportunity for you to get that leg up. So do check out ODYS. But William Jones is there, Robin from Sweden, Paul Hogden, Denmark as well. So Google My Business. William Jones is in the Philippines. You're in Sweden. You're in Denmark. Paul Hogden's in the UK. Who else have we got there? Harry Quim. Hello. But yeah, let us know what questions you've got. We'll just run through questions. I am hoping that Mike Pierce does come along. But if he doesn't, I'll just smash away and do as many questions as I possibly can on here. So bloody hell, Moldova, India. So we've got quite a spread about audience today, which is always nice. Nice to know that there are people coming from all over the place. So hello, Moldova, India, and all of the other places. Adam Poland, how's it going, buddy? Did you change? Yeah, you did change that profile picture. Yeah, cartoon pictures. Done one of them myself years ago as well. Always good to remain anonymous on there as well. But yeah, so you can freestyle for a while. I can freestyle. So guys, if you've got questions, ask whatever you want. We'll talk about it today on here. If you're looking for an event though in the UK, do check out seounderground.co.uk. We have excellent speakers and it's an in-person event in the UK. And that's something that's obviously been few and far between over the last 18 months. So get yourself along and make sure that you do get a ticket and learn from the people that are there. Every day is a learning day, and there's some excellent speakers who I'm looking forward to seeing. So if you're in the UK, it's near Cambridge and there are still tickets available. Check out seounderground.co.uk. And Adam Poland was under pressure from his daughter to change the picture. Probably a wise move. So Mike Pierce is here. He's coming on now. I'm just sending him a message. He is coming on. But yeah, he will be here. Adam Poland, best hotel near Newmarket. Liam, I'm not so sure. I'm booked in something called the Bedford Lodge. Maybe Paul Hogden could advise us on the best one. And Mike just finally here.
I got delayed on a phone call. I'm sorry, everybody. My bad.
I can't fucking believe what's happening here.
That's hilarious, bro.
Because you're traveling tomorrow.
I understand it, bro. Well, we could do a little thing right now, and if you guys want to do tomorrow, either way, I don't care. I got time, whatever. So I'm good, dude.
Do it now. People are
here. Yeah, that works for me, dude. And then I'll steal your time right afterwards. Let me close this stuff out so I don't get all these messages. Man, I'm talking to everybody, trying to figure out when people are getting into Greensboro on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You know, it's like bat. Last night there was an interesting conversation that popped up that I saw. I think it's over on Search Engine Journal is where they found it, but it was about traffic. It was about metrics. It was about link equity. And dude, Cam, stop. Let me close this. Hold on 1 second. I'm in the middle of work, dude. I'm like not prepared. It's kind of funny, dude. All right, let's see if we can find this. I got, someone apologized to me. I'm like, dude, we don't have to apologize when we disagree. Like, we're allowed to disagree in the world. Stop being worried about it.
Exactly. A good disagreement's always good. But I'll answer this question from William Jones quickly before so you can sort yourself out. So you see me wearing jerseys all the time. Do I have a favourite team over my part of the world? So if it's basketball jerseys you're referring to, I don't even know if they do basketball in the UK. But in America, I've always just had a thing for the New York Knicks. However, I have been known to wear Chicago Bulls shorts and a New York Knicks top. I've also got Golden State Warriors top. So I just like the tops. I'm comfortable in them. But yeah, I like basketball and in general as a sport. But if I was picking a team, New York Knicks, don't know why. I have no idea why, but I like the colours and like New York. So that is the good, honest, solid answer. The best one I can give you. But anyway, Mike,
what's your favorite team though in the US, bro? I might have missed it while I was scrolling, but let me see. You don't have one, or you do?
Nah, New York Knicks basketball team. If that's what you're asking, New York Knicks.
It is the Knicks. My dad would be. My dad would be your friend, bro. That's where he's from out there, and that's his too. Well, I can't find the post, man. I don't know where the article came from, but it was a quote from Mueller I wanted to address with you, dude. It was about CTR on a backlink and metrics and Google looking at traffic and all this and that. And there were statements that they only look at SERP CTR. Now, I'm not making a claim about CTR through a link right now whatsoever, but my thought is that it's a mistake to think that they're only looking at something in one location. But what are your thoughts, dude?
I mean, obviously Google can see a hell of a lot more than we give people credit for. And actually, I think Google and even devices themselves are a lot cleverer than we think they are as well. So I was actually having a conversation with Holly Starks last week, and she was talking about doing CTR, and people were asking her like different IP addresses and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, Google can't distinguish an iPhone. They see every iPhone as a different phone, whereas an Android's a little more cleverer and it can see shit. So Google can see a lot of weird shit when it comes to click-through rate manipulation, probably more so than they allow us to believe. And with CTR's been around a long time. We've seen a lot of good benefits from it, but it is becoming harder, and I do think it will become, location specific in certain ways. Certainly something I've seen, when I'm doing it for GMBs or whatever is, I want to force local traffic through that GMB. That's going to have the highest impact. Sending micro workers to it doesn't do shit to it anymore, really. So I think it is becoming more specific. So I think, in terms of us manipulating Google or pretending to Google, the game's just got a lot harder over the years. And I'm not sure of what Mueller has said.
I'm looking right now. I'm doing a search because Google CTR on a link. I found reference to it. Okay, so it's a little bit. Maybe it came out like 5 days ago or something. So let me find it. It's right here. All right. And so what he said was, the question was, where's the question? When asked if Google considers referral traffic when determining the weight to assign to backlinks, Mueller says, we don't use things like traffic through a link when trying to evaluate how a link should be valued. As far as I know, we don't look at things like the probability that someone will click on a link with regard to how we should value it. Now, I believe it. I believe that. I don't think that they assign link equity based on the click-through rate of a link. It's different. Link equity is not other metrics. It's link equity. Yeah. PageRank, I think the original patent actually specifically states the opposite of what he's saying, and I'm not saying that's what they use right now. But I believe it does reference the user, and it doesn't necessarily specifically reference CTR, but it references the usage and the user. I think it's the original PageRank patent. I'm not positive. I don't have it in front of me, but so John Mueller's lately been answering things really interestingly like that. I think as we get more advanced and everything, not that he doesn't know some things, I think that he really doesn't know the answer to a lot of things. I think that the math is super solid, and they come through and they do a lot of shit we can't understand and we don't look at, or we're not going to think of. But I don't think that the click-through rate on a link is a direct indicator that they're using at this moment. Have you seen different? I could be wrong. I'm not saying that it's not. I think that the traffic through it has other things it might do. I'm not saying that there's nothing there. I think specifically the equity, but
I think I would probably be inclined. I mean, it's hard. I'm not sure is the answer, but certainly if I'm getting a link, do I believe it passes more, links with traffic? Does that help? Yes. But, it's a hard one. You could probably argue all day long.
I can argue both sides, but I think saying, like, when people say, oh, the CTR through this link is helping, I don't know if they understand everything that Google can do and what they're capable of and how they sample data and what they have talked about they might do. Yeah. I think it's more than just like the CTR. Here's the CTR on this backlink. So that's the only reason I can agree with what he says. It's like, it's not the specific, okay, there's CTR, this makes it a good link. There's no CTR, that makes it a bad link. I don't think it's that black and white, I guess.
No, there's a lot more to it. They can see a lot more stuff. And there will be a slightly more complex thing going on behind that. But Paul Hogden's asking a question here.
Yeah.
If Apple mobile devices connect to a mobile Wi-Fi point, does that mean we could use Apple iPods, iPads, etc.? Would they work the same? Yes. If you're doing CTR, iPods, iPad, whatever, is going to do the same thing as long as you're able to click on stuff. Then you're able to manipulate certain things. They're going to use not the mobile Wi-Fi point address. They're using the actual device address to determine whether you're a real person or not, or whatever, or a different person. So that's something that Holly said through her testing. So
it's I have to seriously, like, we're talking a lot this year in Greensboro about profile-based SEO, right? And when I say a profile, I really look at the device that someone is on, and they are building profiles of their users, and an easy way to do that is specifically around the device that they're using. There's no question. I mean, I think you've seen that firsthand yourself too,
Yeah. Listen, you've just got to do your own testing and come up with your own conclusions. What I would say, based on what Mueller has said, is as you say, Mueller doesn't know the answers to a lot of things. I don't even think Google themselves know the answers to a lot of things. They've just got such a complex thing up there, and that's why it is really, really important that you test and get something working for you, or to give yourself a rough idea on, what things do within this industry. So that's where testing. Google themselves don't know what they're doing. John Mueller's obviously paid to put things out there, and he's the kind of public facing role and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't know either, and he's not going to sit and test it. So, and Google are not going to sit and say yes or no to a lot of this stuff.
I think, and it's important to not let confirmation bias creep in. Like, if you have something and you see John Mueller say something, don't make a new reality out of what he said. It's like going out and just reading a Google patent or a search patent just to go find something. It's better to read that stuff with an open mind and then look at the data you've collected to see how it might impact something, and then go do it again. And just, we're optimizers, right? We got to keep optimizing. We got to keep trying new things, or else we end up like a lot of people right now, where we're losing 25% of our traffic with every freaking little tweak they make,
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
When you build links, man, like, what's your theory, right? Are you looking at it from a PageRank based theory, or are you looking at it from like relevance based theory? Like, when you go out, you got a new campaign, what are you doing, dude?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie here and sit and say I don't use domain authority or anything like that. As a kind of goal in my head, of course I do. I want the most powerful, but most relevant links. Now, I think we've had this discussion previously where if someone offered me a DR20 super relevant link over a DR40 that was kind of very generic, I would be going relevant all day long. And I think for years, because us link builders have manipulated the shit out of Google, Google's only real way to try and clean up some form of shit is to go relevant. So I think, just in my head, common sense, of course we all want this big, high-powered thing, but I just believe through all of my own link building efforts that relevance is a lot more important than power. You're going to get more for your money.
It's interesting because relevance is I can absolutely say it's like one of the most important things out there. And then it's like, then you start getting into like, what is relevance, right? Like how much do I need there to make it relevant, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think you get away from the factor that there's relevance involved. I don't think you can get away from it. And what I'm seeing, what's interesting is like, as we've moved in this like profile era, like with what Holly was talking about, what we were just talking about, is that the idea of what relevance is can shift, and it does shift, and it has shifted, right? I've been seeing like some really interesting connections between markets and some of our campaigns and competitor campaigns lately. Is there any projects you've done recently that you're buying advertising for that you can want to talk about in public that I can ask about, or no?
Yeah, go for it.
So like when you go out, like whatever that project is, if you want to say it or whatnot, but if you go out and buy that, like how are you looking at where to buy ads if you're going out to media buy for it,
right? Again, I'm snooping around, but I'm looking to try and get the most relevant, my stuff in front of the most relevant eyeballs. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And whether that's buying, using influencers or buying traffic on a forum or whatever it might be, it's all about the relevance. Is my target audience on this particular website? And that's it. It's always very simple and straight to the point. How much traffic does this website get? And are the people that are on this website likely to be interested in what I'm selling? And that's it. And again, it's relevance.
Yeah, no, it is. It's interesting because I see it. I've been talking to Corey, he's talking about like Skags this next coming up. Actually, this week, dude. So he's talking about like PPC and the effect, or paid traffic and the effect it directly has on ranking and how it actually impacts it. In my campaigns, I can see it impacting quite a bit. I can turn it on and off. There's a lot of things that I can see that can be turned on and off. In the SERPs, there's things like title rewrites and all those things that they're doing that are under our control. But at the end of the day, like SEO really is a funnel, just like paid. And if you're going out looking for something that will convert with paid and that's relevant, and you need that relevance somehow to make it convert, then that might be a good way to kind of tailor the rest of your freaking SEO and your link building, in my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that there?
Yeah, I think it all has to go hand in hand and be tailored, like you say, towards everything you do, especially your link building. So, yeah, but I think also what you're doing here is when you're buying traffic or doing paid ads or whatever you're doing, you are building clicks, you're building traffic, you're retargeting people. As you say, the word funnel is so important. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there's more to life than just SEO. You're trying to get people into an ecosystem, but whether that's into your mailing list or whether it's into anything else that you've got, it really doesn't matter as long as everything else is kind of working round about it and automated, and you're getting in front of those right eyeballs and softly probing them or whatever you're trying to do. But that's the whole thing with a funnel. And the traffic can come from multiple different sources. As long as it's relevant, who cares? If these are buyers, then who gives a shit? And I think for everything I do within marketing, as long as it provides a return on investment, and young Gary who does his link building, spends X amount of money on Facebook ads, X amount of money in this and X amount of money in that. And as long as he gets an ROI on Facebook ad, for example, if he spends 10 grand a month on Facebook ads, but he makes 100 grand a month worth of sales, then he'll do it all day long, and he might even consider spending £20,000 on the ads or whatever. So as long as that ROI is there, you can turn the screw on any single one of your traffic sources, and that's essentially where you want to be.
I think that's really like, that's when I started really hanging out working with Brad. Like I always was a businessman. I always was looking for my return, and I was trying to push it as high as I can, but we made it a focus. I mean, and what I've noticed over the last 6 years is when you make a return on investment a focus, everything you do becomes more quality. And like, so if you're doing PBNs or whatever you want to call them, and you're focusing on your return, those PBNs become better PBNs by default. They just do. Your content becomes more efficient by default, and your link building becomes more efficient by default. And you eliminate the things that aren't making you money, which means now you have a PBN and a network and a business and a market that is run like multiple money sites. And that's so much more powerful in today's life, SEO life, than something that's thrown out there just for one purpose and then forgotten about, Let's jump over to, Oh, it's still roast people who ask if building exists. The CID community. I actually got into, I typed this out somewhere the other day about, oh no, it was a private group. It was a cloaking group. Never mind. I'll tell the story right now. The CID thing comes from like 7-8 years ago, when there was a bug in the way that they reported their analytics on GMB and other platforms. And it's something that's always worth looking at again. I'm not doing any of that right now. I think Craig and I talked about this like 6 or 7 months ago or something. I don't know when it was. I'm not saying that it's not working. I'm not saying that it can't work, but I am saying that last time I looked, it wasn't worth my time. It wasn't worth it for the return. So
it's like anything though. With Google, it did work, then it didn't work. Then some people are reporting it did work, and then it doesn't work because whatever's happening with Google at the back end, the goalposts move all the time. But it's the same with being able to switch off a guy's GMB. That got plugged and then somehow it just broke again, and people could switch off your GMB at the push of a button. So things break all the time. So you do want to keep checking, but is it best use of your time?
So what that was, it's interesting. I think it'll be interesting because like Marco launched up like the RYS stuff, and it kind of ties into like a conversation I had with someone who wants to do all these G sites, but they just want to do G sites because they're G sites, right? They're not looking at why a G site is something that at one point I was using to do something, right? Or why Marco started doing the stuff the way he does it, and other people that kind of pulled that and went out and did that. Before I had a conversation and he liked that RYS stuff. There was a long period of time where Google would report a backlink pointed at the system in that bucket URL, like the CID and some other stuff. You would see it in your analytics and your stats as a hit and a visit to the actual GMB, visit to the website. And so you could smash that URL with GSA SIR. You could smash it with SIR with a bunch of shit links. And Google would think that you were getting a bunch of traffic. And that's what was working before anyone was talking about traffic. And this is also a good indicator into what backlinks really are. And it goes back to what we talked about. Like if they were reporting these backlinks as visits, somewhere in there's math being done that associates backlinks with a visit, right? And no one knows this shit because nobody really knew that was happening at the time outside of people talking about it, that were doing it. And so since 2000, I'd say 12 or 13, maybe, we've continually kind of paid attention to things like that to find those kind of opportunities. And CID has at various times been an opportunity like that. I would say it's always worth testing. I'm not going to go out and like drop everything and throw everything at it myself right now, but I could be putting my foot in the mouth. It could be working right now, and it's an opportunity I'm missing, right? So who knows? I don't know.
Different one. Michael Likens wants to ask, have you ever had a situation, Mike, where a client has unique visits to a page, but 0% or zero time on site and 100% bounce rate? What do you think the issue could be? It is not a thin page and it has useful info. You ever come across that?
Yeah, I was looking at a campaign just the other day. It was like 0.08 milliseconds or something like that. But it was that case, it was somebody hitting it with bot traffic that was just not, it was disappearing. So without looking at it, what are you crawling it with, Michael? What are you doing your audits with, dude? Like what tech? What are you using? Screaming Frog, Sitebulb, OnCrawl, Deep Crawl?
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
But we'll jump to this one. I don't even know if this is a question. I assume you can do it in Android as long as you root it and change the address on the phone. Yeah, so live IRL fan who's still not connected with us.
Dude, where's my freaking message, bro, about your watch stuff?
Yeah, where is mine as well? But Michael Likens has just seen that information on the Google Analytics account.
Send it over, dude. I'll look at it.
Send it over to Mike. We'll have a look
He's
at it.
He's in the community, so I'll take a look at it. And we'll figure it out. But yeah, there's a couple things. I would look for issues with the tracking. The first thing I would look for is like the simplest thing to look for is like, is there a problem with the way the reporting is being generated or anything like that? Or is there a server issue that's causing it? Like, I would just look there first. Personally, what would you do, Craig? That's what I would do. I would look for an issue.
You've got to try and find an issue. With anything like the problem I had with you a few weeks ago, I had an issue and I had to try and figure out what that issue was. But what I was probably doing was probably overcomplicating that issue in my brain because I don't trust a lot of people and I think someone was doing
I started doing it too, bro. Once I heard you triggered me, dude. Like, it's easy to do that. That's confirmation bias too, because if we got one more person, then all of a sudden there's a group of people thinking that. We could make that be the reality, dude. You know, like make a mistake and now someone's being blamed for something that didn't happen, you know?
Big Bradley, hello. And thank you for the kind message, Big Ginger Hippo. Yeah, sometimes I think, you know, I'm always looking for an issue and I'm always trying to reverse engineer things, but, you know, or go back a step and go back a step and go back a step. And, you know, even if that does mean me reaching out to another guy saying, listen, dude, I've got a problem. Can you just give me a fresh set of eyes and look at this to see if you can see something I'm not seeing? That is the point I want to try and make. Sometimes you can drive yourself fucking crazy because that website I was looking at like for a week and I'm literally going, what the fuck is wrong with this website? And I was driving myself crazy to the point where I just couldn't look at it anymore. I couldn't see anything. It was just all bloody.
Yeah. I call it new eyes, man. Like, especially when we were doing a lot of RFPs for larger companies in the US and knocking out microsites, building websites. Like, I had to make sure that other people were looking at it and my designers were like sending it off to other people, because every time you're on something too long, you will miss things. It just happens naturally, man. If you look at something too long, it all starts looking like shit to me, to be honest. Like, if I look at something too long, it literally starts to look horrible. If I go away and come back like a day later, then I can see it again with like new eyes, man, and say, okay, now I can see this is okay, but this does suck. The whole thing's not crap, you know? It's hard, man. It can get, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think many people in this industry are all macho and shit, and they don't want to admit that they're maybe not seeing something or whatever as well, and they don't ask for another set of eyes, you know, and I don't think there's any reason why you'd have to think like that. Just get another set of eyes. Listen, dude, this is blowing my brains. Can you have a look?
And I will be the first person to admit that I would probably be at like 50% of where I'm at if I didn't like ask people like when I didn't know things, because, or like get people working with me, because I can't do it all by myself. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'll make mistakes and I'll do stupid shit if I don't have someone to bounce off of, you know?
Exactly. So I think that's something you have to do, and Michael's doing it. We'll get other eyes on it, man.
Yeah, we'll look at it for sure. There was and send questions out, guys. Like, if you have questions, you mentioned new eyes and like have someone else look at it. I was having a talk with Lee Witcher, who is speaking this coming week at the event, right? And he made a good point. Like, we're just not great consumers to like think like people that we're selling to because of the knowledge we have. You know what I mean? Like, and I never actually worded it the way he worded. I've thought about it, but he worded it in a really way that I think is going to come up at the event. But it's interesting though. Like, if someone asks me to like go and review like something for a marketing campaign, my brain goes in very different places than somebody on the street. And there's books written about how to ask someone about your business if it's a good idea and not have them lie to you, because almost everybody will lie to you without intending to. If you ask them about something you're doing, like your business, and trying to get feedback, they will give you more positive feedback than what they really think. It's just what happens, you know? It's an interesting concept, dude.
But like I said earlier with that situation I was in, I thought people were doing the dirty on me. I'm like, man, there's some real shady shit. So I went properly into like the knowledge that we have and the experiences we've got.
Yep.
And just assuming everyone else is doing that.
Paranoid ass marketers online, dude. Everyone's gonna get me.
Yeah, it's bad. But Harry Quim has a question. Restoring content for an expired domain using Archiverics. What do you do about the images? I would be saying the images are not hugely important. Just put other random ass images up there. And that's the least.
I'm not a good person to ask about images because I've been sued multiple times for images and I just don't give a shit. So from a technical standpoint and not a legal advice standpoint, my advice would be use images that make the most sense from a ranking standpoint and what's already up there scraped in Google, and scrape it from Google. But like I said, you will get sued for using the wrong images. It is a hot spot for sure. So be careful and just get something in there. Just make sure you're multimedia. There is AI out there that can create images for you too. So like if you are automating, you can do that, and you can automate your multimedia if you want to avoid like lawsuits and stuff. So I would definitely get images in, but I wouldn't be like me. I'm going to take the old images and use them, but I'm not going to tell you to go do that if it's not what you're going to do in your business.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, just use random ass ones, free stock, whatever, if you can, is the other option. Michael,
yeah, Michael, it's going to be fun. Are you going to be in person, dude? Are you coming out, or are you going to be streaming, man? I think you're coming out, aren't you? But yeah, we're using it's an Otis domain, actually. It's an ODYS domain that I seasoned for a while, and I've got the speakers like are optimizing individual sections of it with what they're teaching. We're doing that live, and so it's gonna be fun and interesting. I've never allowed that many different hands onto a single domain before, but because it's an Otis domain, I'm not concerned because it can be fixed.
Yeah.
Even if we mash the crap out of it, it will still move forward. So I'm not worried about it. Flying down there on Wednesday and flying out Sunday. Cool. I'm getting in tomorrow, man, and I'll see you then on Wednesday. If you're staying at the Marriott, we'll hook up. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm bummed, bro. I really wanted you there, dude. I had some plans for you for some fun times, but we'll do it next time.
Yeah, next time. I'm gutted, absolutely gutted, but I will be there for anyone watching who hasn't already.
Craig's there, just not physically there.
Physically, that's probably a good thing, though, right? I don't have to get fucking mass dragged down that bar, or into rooms where people are smoking outrageous amounts of weed, and stuff like that. So
that was a crazy. Yeah, that's like I think the first time I really hung out. I saw you guys, but that's the first time I sat around with you and Gary, I think.
Yeah, around a big puff of smoke. It was fun. It was an experience.
It was
experience. But
there were some interesting people there. There really were. There's a guy this lead gener that's there that just smashes it still to this day. He disappears all the time, but he does a good job. But there, any questions that come through is good. But also, I wanted to look at the state of SEO challenges, and it's challenges and threats in the SEO industry. And so budget cuts is like 37% of, so obviously this is going to be paid. And if everyone has input out there on this, budget cuts are the largest, which is 37.6%. And I don't know if it should be, man. If you're looking at it from a client, like cutting everything and going, but if you're in-house and you're performing, you need to do more. It's a hard one, dude. I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think that's a huge threat in SEO? I can't put my head in that space at this point, to be honest.
Yeah and no. It's a difficult one to answer, but yeah, I don't know.
I think from an enterprise, like inside of a business, I have seen budget cuts, but not as impactful in some of the corporations directly on the SEO department as one would think when it hits the marketing department. So that's an interesting one for me.
I mean,
yeah,
you're always going to have people. There's always going to be cuts. Obviously, when there's a COVID thing. I mean, to be honest, for me personally, I've not seen that many. I think more people are going all out on their SEO, or the people that I know. So I'm not sure I can answer this properly because I don't do a huge amount of client work, but I've not seen, if anything, I've probably seen people spending more on digital in general, not just SEO, but digital in general. The main problem I see is people fighting for the budget. So someone might have 100 grand a year to spend on digital things, and like the SEO guys saying, yeah, spend 70 with me and just spend the rest of it on fucking some paid shit, and then the paid guys saying no SEO shit and all that stuff.
Right.
You know, I think
you got to marry those, man. Like I will tell you, some of the biggest contracts I've had came out of getting to know the person on the other side of that traffic coin and determining that there was a way to make more money doing and working these things out together, even though they were separate businesses and contracts. There are things such as backroom deals, boys and girls. And I think that that's really important to understand, like, especially in the corporate space. It's been really important to know and understand for me, like who is working on what, and to make sure those people look good and are happy, and ingratiate them to me so that they're in my corner when it comes to push and shove, you know? And it's business strategy, you know, it really is, man. It's important, I think. I don't know. Have you been in that situation?
Yeah.
Or am I just a shady piece of shit, dude?
you are a shady piece of shit as well, but nah, I think but going back to what we were saying there, it's again, different countries are doing stuff as well. I'm assuming like the US, I've had so many people you know, wanting to talk to me about consultancy and ramping up their efforts and everything else, and I just think that it's hard for me to say because I know other people, small businesses and all that kind of stuff are pulling budgets and shit on this stuff, but you've just got to see what happens. You know, certainly if you're working with smaller businesses, you're going to feel a bigger impact and have more fights in your hand, really. So it just depends who you're dealing with. Bigger businesses are just going through and continuing to progress and spend more and take that.
And the pain there is more like dealing with compliance and closing the initial contract and getting through the attorneys, really. Like I prefer that to dealing with small businesses. I prefer to take 6 months or 7 months, 8 months to close a contract and have like 5-6 years of like a steadily increasing or stable large contract than dealing with the small stuff. Personally, that's just me. The losses are bigger for sure, but I'd rather take those big losses than a bunch of individual ones constantly. It just suits me better, I think.
The only thing is, though, I had a mate, I'm not going to name him on here, but he was doing a lot of the bigger contract stuff, and he had this big agency and all that stuff, but he was hiring. So if someone came in with a 20 grand a month retainer, he would hire like, you know, X amount of staff off of the back of that to do the work, the deliverables. But when you drop a contract like that, it really does mean job losses.
Yes, it really does. You have to fire people sometime, most of the time, I would say.
So he eventually decided that, fuck this shit, I can't run a business like this. So he has a flat retainer for X amount of spaces. I just thought I'd throw that in there just as a...
No, it's a good thing. Consulting on a retainer like that and then facilitating is, I think, less stressful than like having a bunch of people working under you and trying to facilitate this. And then when something happens, you're in a place where you're like, sorry, guys and gals, we're done. I'd rather just take the fee and then like get people paid and direct it than deal with the responsibility of feeding everyone's kids, man. It scares me. I'll be honest. I don't want to do it. I don't like it when I've done it, you know? Lead gen, multiple GMBs. How do you name them all for best effect? I've mixed methods lately, but historically the best example was a site that used the exact name for all. Do you mean like in your spreadsheets or your database where you're managing them, or like individually on the listing?
Let us know, Dean. the answer
and
to
then
that.
SEO Underground, yeah, I was thinking I might have to go to Central Europe even in like coming up when it's out there. I might just swing by and say hi if I have to do that this next time too. So, but yeah, I can come out there.
He will come out once this shit's all sorted. We can drag Mike's ass over here. And
I need to get over there to a couple places and then over into like deeper into Europe too. So, but if the GMB thing is about the database and everything, we use an ID. I think I'm overthinking this, to be honest. But if it's the titles, I know that I don't physically do those at all anymore. I don't like that industry. I don't like chasing that stuff. I just like the result of it. So that's handled more by Brad and people under that than me. But we're not going exact keyword at this point at all.
Yeah, so Dean was talking about the actual name on the listing.
Let me see if I have a sheet and can see real quick. I might have an answer for you this current. Sorry. Are you doing any of that right now, Craig?
Nah, not the way you guys are doing it. So it's not something I have to mix up so much. Definitely not.
I think, okay, so right now we do have exact match domains live, and the listings, let me see. The listings are partials, kind of. Yeah, so it's like partial. There's tie-in. I would say it's transformer match or broad match. It's tied into the market and the keyword.
Yeah.
But we always have built for longevity, and so we try to do as much optimization as we can, but we always will lean towards safety on that. That's why we have like a lot of older stuff. Even when like it's really working with like exact, those listings go in a different bucket and they're toss away listings. They're not tied to websites. The ones that are tied to the networks are going to be protected and named in a way that protects them.
Interesting. But yeah,
I lost your audio. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can everyone hear Craig, or is it just me that lost Craig?
Let me know, people. Who can you hear? Who can you not hear?
See. Weird. Did I mute it?
Nah.
I muted it, bro.
Oh, did you?
I'm an idiot. I'm a dick. That's funny.
I hate when that shit happens, man. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
The live IRL fan can hear us both.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The next one, they have lack of resources and pandemic-related issues as an SEO industry challenge. And I have not seen, in some markets I did for a while, see some downturn for us in revenue. But pandemic-related issues actually has been more of a positive overall for us than a negative. I don't know. What about, has it hurt your business, the pandemic right now?
Nah, I've been probably busier than I've ever been. In terms of, I do a lot of consultancy and a lot of training and all of that kind of stuff, and a lot more people are wanting skilled up and they want to invest more. They want second eyes. So I've been busier than ever. As I say, I can't speak for everyone, and I know certain guys who are in this industry who work with smaller clients, and they've been hit by that. I've heard of agencies that I do work with who are like 60% of our clients have literally just fucking paused their stuff. But that's all niche dependent. You can't really say either way.
Yeah, exactly.
People that work in the travel industry, of course, you're going to suffer. So yes and no. I think industry wide, if I'm answering it, some people are going to feel it, some are not. And I think I was fortunate enough not to operate in any kind of markets where travel or accommodation or any of the kind of biggest hit industries because of COVID were part of those businesses. So I've been all right, man.
The last presentation we did was for Mads at SEO Mastery, and it was about diversification again, and it's about vertical and horizontal diversification. And because of the way we've always gone into different markets, and we've gone into both lead gen and then affiliate or e-commerce, and we've diversified like that, that is a big reason why we didn't feel anything. The people that I know that did feel it, just like you said, they have niched down into something that was hit like, or they were lucky and they were in something that grew, like home services, right? Like home services and construction, like blew up. Like, divorce attorneys blew up, and the different things blew up. Crime scene cleanup blew up, I'm sure. No, but but really though, I know everyone pitches, and I've got friends that are doing extremely well because they went into an individual market. But those people were very selective about the market they went into, and they had clear purpose, and it has led to way more beyond just SEO in that market,
Yeah.
And so if you're going to niche down into a market like that, you need to be really sure that there is a way for you to weather, like we call it an all-weather portfolio is what we call it. Like, you need to have a business and a portfolio of sites that are going to pay you no matter what's happening in the world. Now, we're all screwed if the internet goes away, so we don't want any major like post-apocalyptic wars or anything like that. But other than that, we should be good as digital marketers. We should be very lean and be able to move around, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Definitely. Dean Signori's come back and saying, so would your Safeway be brand town or just brand in every town?
I have always defaulted, if I'm physically doing it, and if I went out and did one right now for one of the campaigns, I would be probably market depending. I would be going for brand in town. I don't know, let's take Apple Partners of Town, something like that, or it would rotate. It wouldn't stay the same. Actually, the organization is done in a different place because I want the front end to be as safe as possible, and it's about safety for me because if they're an investment and I want to protect my investment.
Makes sense. That's what it's all about, protecting that investment. But guys, keep your questions coming. We've got 10 minutes.
So I had one, is Google AMP a ranking factor? And I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you think Google AMP is a ranking factor?
I'm going to just put out my own personal opinion here.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. I've never, ever bothered my arse with AMP. Even, back, several years ago when everyone was talking about it, AMP's the next big thing. I never bothered my arse. I always sometimes, when things like that come out, and it's the same with Schema, and I probably shot myself in the foot. But you always see these things and they're like fads, things that people become obsessed with. I've never bothered with AMP, and I don't believe it's any kind of ranking.
I agree.
Unless it's a
news
website.
The thing. At one point, I would say it was a ranking factor by way of like emergent factors, because at one point you needed it to get into like top stories and different things, and that brings traffic, and maybe that is a ranking factor somewhere. But directly AMP itself, especially now that it's not required to be in top stories, we might have WordPress sites that have an AMP page, but I don't know.
If you were a news website builder, or you're in charge of some big, New York Times, AMP might become important to your business at that point because of the top story thing. But other than that, for general day-to-day SEO, I think it's bullshit. Never bothered with it. So,
totally agree with that.
Another one of those myths, but it's just, as I say, it was like Schema as well. Schema came out and everyone's talking about it, and you're just like, fuck, I can't be asked for this. In case it doesn't become that big, and I think Schema obviously adds value to the internet, and you can get your feature snippets and all that kind of stuff. So I think obviously, but I still sat until I understood more about it and how it worked before I would implement it. It's the same with AMP. I think there's a load of crap that comes out. And people jump on it. Oh, I need to, get AMP, put on the website and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, fuck, too much work. So, 1 out of 10 things normally stick, in my opinion, with these kind of crazy fads, and the rest are all bullshit. So AMP can go and do one.
Yeah, I think that focusing on the cores of SEO and really focusing on getting your content optimization solid and being able to build some links is going to get you most of the way there. Maybe there's a situation where you have a market that makes it becomes more, but I don't think it's a great idea to chase objects ever in the industry. It's slowed down, but yeah, no, I know. Michael works with a lot of businesses, as a consultant. What you were talking about, not directly doing the SEO, but consulting and pushing them in the right direction. And can you hear me? It's probably just my internet, dude. Hold on. Let me plug in this internet. I'm gonna plug in.
For anyone, Mike stays in the middle of nowhere, so internet is potentially problematic out there at times, and he has frozen unless it's me. But if you've still got questions, guys, keep the questions coming. We've still got time for questions while Mike's internet kind of settles down.
I was trying. I'm hacking live.
It's still all over the place, Mike. I caught about 2 seconds of that.
I can't hear shit. Sorry, dude. Now it's my bad. What was going on?
Yeah, so I think it's all right now, but we've got a question. Mike, you've gone all Dalek on us, so it was definitely you. But he's still going Dalek. You're still Dalek. But do you think links from GMB posts to your money site help?
And if you can hear, I do think that all links are helpful in some way, but I like to tiny. I think optimization and links that I know that are going to move a needle and push. That's what I do. That's what I care about. But anytime you have traffic and you can make money, if one visitor uses to your site, then that link is beneficial, even if it's not doing a huge bunch of clicking boost for you. It's just
we got the most. We got the most of that. We got the most of it. But yeah, put another 50p in the meter, Mike. This is just fun.
Yeah, sitting there watching me. I don't know if I'm lying.
But yeah, you have to put another 50p in that, Mike. That is not good.
Bye.
Your thing is fucked. It's kind of settled now. I think. I hope. Paul Hogden has donated £5 for the internet meter from you, Mike.
No, it's not that. It's the computer.
As I said, Paul, Mike stays in the middle.
I need a $5 computer.
But guys, if you've got any other questions, do ping them in. And I've got a horrible feeling me and Mike are talking all over each other as well with this delay. Well, he's come back on another thing.
Yeah.
That is better.
The driver is crashing on that laptop, so it's about to go blow up. So
we won't even ask why. We won't even ask what the fuck you were doing to blow that shit up. But
yeah, exactly. It's gonna explode. Are there any questions? Because I can't see the questions now. So
not any other ones other than does the links from the GMB post help your money website? So that was the last one. But
I rage quitted. I did. Yeah. I did rage quit, dude. I was about to punch the screen, man. I really was. No, again, did what I said about the GMB links come through or no?
Nah, we never really heard any of it. So.
Oh, really? Okay, so it didn't come. Dude, that laptop's still trying to talk to me, dude. I closed it, I turned it off, and it's still freaking having an audio issue. Okay, so the GMB post from the to the money site. the association with the GMB there and coming back in with the association and usage on both sides could be beneficial to both, in my opinion. But I think the money that could come from the link, and if there is traffic from that listing, would be more beneficial. And I would focus on more like real links. I really don't focus on anything other than like optimizing my content and building links that work, that move the needle, is what I would prefer to do.
Yeah.
Do you use it as a link building tactic, Craig?
Not as such. Mainly, I post on my GMB just to get traffic to it. So
yeah,
my GMB in place. But yeah, I'm not doing it from a link building perspective at all. Definitely not. Not that I think it's, it can still be used as a link building method, but I just don't think the power and all that kind of stuff is there on a GMB post. So yeah,
it's not. I mean, I agree. It's more about getting content on the GMB and getting traffic to the GMB. Like what I will say is that posting to the GMBs when we're tracking like 800 listings and those listings are tied to like individual sites and they are publishing, like you can see the impact in the traffic throughout the network when you're posting to those GMBs. So
yeah.
I wouldn't say don't throw links in there. If there's a reason to have a link in there, throw it in there to make the connection. But I would not go out and build a process around just that, in my opinion.
Nah, I don't. I mean, like if I'm doing shows like this, I'll certainly put it out in my GMB. Listen, Cashflow Digital's on at 5 o'clock. Come to YouTube to watch it. But I don't know if I've ever posted a link to my own website on it, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. I think the last campaign we did that on, we were doing like link wheels inside of our GMBs for like, it was like in finance, it was like 3,500 GMBs in sites, but I kept saying that it was just wasted resources. I was seeing the traffic there, but I wasn't seeing the conversion the after it. And I don't think it was having a huge impact on any of the sites from a link building standpoint. Like right now, you can really see the difference in the quality of links that come through. And that's why, like when you were saying relevance and everything, I'm super on board, because I can see campaigns that are using networks that work and networks that don't work. And there is a huge difference. And we're talking, a few links will work versus like a few hundred or something or 1,000 not working. And so that's where the focus should be, is on buying a really solid or building a really solid link, either building something or buying something. And by buying, I mean, you can outreach that too, but you're still buying it with time. So you're either building a link or you're buying it, in my opinion.
Exactly. We've got 2 last questions, Mike, before we do shoot off. How are you guys enjoying the new AIs for writing page content? Are you using AI content at all, Mike?
Yeah, I always have. I mean, I personally think that GPT-3 is too resource intensive. And stuff's expensive there, and there's better ways to do it. There's a couple other outliers like Neo and 2 even, but there's a place for it. And we're that's one of the things we're going over in Greensboro, is like why people are shooting themselves in the foot with it and how they're making a mistake, and then how you cannot make those mistakes and actually use it to facilitate growth. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that I would pay attention to. I wouldn't replace everything with just AI content. Like, we're not just doing AI content, but it's got a place for sure.
I think what you say there is perfect. You can't just go out and do all your blog posts using AI. You're eventually going to get slapped sooner rather than later. So it's how you fit that into the overall bigger picture of SEO, and there are ways to do that. But final question is from Dr. Cos Forensics Detectors. When undertaking SEO, anything to consider different for maximizing Bing SERPs? So is anything different, or does it just come organic, naturally to you, Mike, when you're optimizing?
No, our sites in Bing are different. They are very different. And do you do a lot of Bing at all?
Not really. I know that exact match domain names still work well across there and all that shit, but I don't really focus hugely on Bing at all. If I'm being honest, it's like SEO from 8 years ago, in my opinion.
It's just not an advanced search engine like Google. It's not nearly as advanced, and It's different demographics. I would say if there's a reason to go out there and start learning, go out and start reading. There's people that focus on it. Like that, it's not Google's not the only source of search engine traffic. There's traffic on DuckDuckGo too, you know, and we have crap over on DuckDuckGo pulling in traffic. So Craig said it really well earlier, like anything is a traffic source if it's converting. Like you might want to learn how to optimize for that, whether it's paid or other search or social or whatever. You know, I wouldn't go out and say I'm a social media marketer, but there's places where we're running social campaigns because it makes sense, you know, like your channel here, Craig, right? You're doing this. It's social. Is YouTube social? I consider it social.
Yeah, for sure. I consider it social. And I think that's what the job is for most people now is where else can I get traffic? Do I need to jump over to Quora? Do I need to jump over to Pinterest? Or you know, where can we generate other traffic from? So that's what I'm always looking for, just where else.
I'm excited for Chris coming over this week for the stuff he's doing, man, because some of the stuff we just touched on, I have a lot of processes for these, but I stopped teaching those kind of processes a long time ago because I found people wanting to automate things and build things just for the sake of doing it rather than like focusing on the reason why. Like, why should I automate that? Oh, because it makes money here. Okay, now let's get it as cheap as possible rather than let's just go out and build a whole bunch of crap and see what works. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited for that because you're right. There are some amazing sources of traffic out there. Pinterest being one of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and massively untapped. So
I really do want to play with your TikTok traffic, man, because it's definitely, to me, doesn't look like it has traditional monetization methods. There's got to be something there, but it's going to be a B to find out. Have you found anything yet?
Not yet. The problem for me is it's like I'm not going to say anything bad, but it's not high quality traffic.
It's not.
So it's probably going to be very difficult for me to monetize that in any great way. However, there's got to be some way, and I'm just playing.
There is, and it's funny because I'm going to talk to you about something that I was looking at. But like, there's 3.5 million visits a month that we can't monetize or whatever, that we just have to use in other ways that help make money. But that's where I see that traffic more of. It's like not a direct money maker, but if you have it, maybe you can utilize it. You know what I mean? But that it would be the only thing I could see is like segmenting it out and being very smart about the way you're publishing and trying to leverage the demographic for something like free surveys or some crap that, you know, if you're doing something about an Xbox, maybe something around affiliate with gaming and shit like that, right? But other than that, like, you have to focus on it, I think, like how to find where that profile goes and shit.
Yeah, I'll get to it. I'm just playing around.
It's a lot.
But
no, it's a lot. And we have any more that we need to answer or no?
Nah, that's us. That is us, guys. Sadly, guys, we won't be here for tomorrow, Cashflow Digital, or Wednesday. I may come on and do a Q&A on Wednesday. Maybe grab some random guests just to fill the gap in. But Chris Palmer, Mike, and most other people in America are going to be at NFG2021.com. You can actually watch this online. So make sure you do check out the website and do not miss out on this SEO conference. There's going to be a shit ton of different speakers. Clint Butler, Holly Stark.
Yeah, we've got, the list is like 15 people now. I might be able to remember it right now because I just ordering it. It's Brad, myself. It is Corey Rose, who's doing Skags and paid and media for it. We've got Terry Power, just been doing some really cool stuff with link building. Chris is doing a badass thing around multimedia and promotion of multimedia, which I think people are missing right now. Then we've got like Ted talking about tools and data, also scraping. But no, it's not too late to book it online. You can book it online. He's doing like data and how tools fail, and then also how the tools that he has are scraping. He's doing some really cool stuff with how Google's split testing SERP positioning and the timeshare of a slot, and how like to tell if your site is having issues because you're being shared with someone else, like with position averaging and being in profiles, is all that crap. Then we've got Kyle. Kyle did a brand new presentation. Kyle Roof did a brand new presentation for the event, and he's going to be doing some stuff live as well. And then we've got Leo is going to be murdering a couple different presentations around Keyword Cupid, but very much around like cluster fragmentation and cannibalization, because like the industry doesn't understand cannibalization at all properly, in my opinion. And people are worried about it where they shouldn't, and then they're not worried about it where they should. And so, and we've also, dude, I'm not going to keep going, but I'm excited. That's why I'm really excited. I looked at everything laid out today in order, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be freaking fun, dude.
That will definitely be a good event. And I have put a link just in the chat, guys, for anyone who does want to grab the online version.
The online, the workshop is actually going to be after the event if you're online. So if you are streaming, you're going to be in the same rooms as everyone, and then we are going to have some additional stuff to give in and do some things that we think just should always be done that are hard to do on the fly during the stream. So we'll be doing some follow up with those of you that stream. So it'll be fun. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to learn a hell of a lot. I'm really excited for like Rob and Lee and Clint. Clint's going to do some live work on the crypto domain that we have up. Like he's going to actually be working and optimizing that, just like, you know, everyone else is. So it's going to be cool, man. It really is.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. So guys, do check it out. It's not too late to grab an online ticket. But on that note, guys, we will catch you again next week, where things will be back to normal. Do check out ODYS.
Otis.
And yeah, thanks for being here today. Short notice, guys. We'll catch you later on.
Thanks, everyone.